Hey, I'm Myra, and today I wanted to review the Bloom method. For those of you that haven't heard of the Bloom method or Studio Bloom, it is a sort of pelvic floor and core workout program similar to other sort of like online based workout programs. Kind of reminds me the most of like Sculpt Society, but very much focused on like prenatal, postnatal, core, and pelvic floor work along with breath work as well. So first things first, like what the heck am I talking about with like pelvic floor and core and breath? The Bloom method really ties in those three things together in a way that I honestly thought was like BS and didn't think was going to like work. I think the very first like workout that I did, I wasn't feeling anything. I didn't really know what the instructor was talking about. I wasn't really like making the connection. I will say that probably the video that helped me the most was one talking about cues and visualizations, like things that you can have in your mind as an image that helps you make that connection between your breath, your pelvic floor, and your core. And I tried all of them out and finally found like a handful that worked, in that I was really able to make the connection between breathing diaphragmatically and feeling it in my core. The first time that I like felt it all happen, I was just like super blown away. And so my biggest recommendation is that if you are starting to do some of these videos, is to not skip out on those like first fundamental videos. So I originally heard of this program on the All About Birth and Pregnancy podcast. I think that's the right order for it. With Dr. Nicole Rankins. She interviews the founder and the person that you see in a lot of these videos. And she sort of walks through why women should think about pelvic floor work, particularly around the time of pregnancy. And I thought it was really interesting because this wasn't the first time that I had heard about people talking about pelvic floor work in connection to things around pregnancy or postpartum. It was something that I wanted to dive into a little bit. I'm not pregnant right now, but it's something that I wanted to sort of prepare for and get a handle on before things really change in my abdominal pelvic floor area. I did the playlist that was the I think Trying to Conceive playlist, and it kind of had like a series of videos in order. I will say that like one of my critiques of that like video series is that I know that those videos were filmed perhaps at like different times, and sometimes the order of them felt a little bit out of order. Like I remember I was doing a program once, and I at that point had only known like that baseline diaphragmatic breath. And all of a sudden the instructor said, okay, we're gonna switch into our like chest core breath or something like that. And I'm like, wait, what the heck is that? And like the very next video was on tuning in with that like sort of chest breath. And so I think there was like some stuff that was out of order there, but it was honestly not that big of a deal. The videos out are kind of on the shorter side, at least that beginning part. So it was something that I was able to learn from right away, like the next day. And I think I probably did like the first like week of that like series in the Trying to Conceive series, like probably like 3 or 4 times over until I felt really, really comfortable with making that connection. And then when I was adding, I guess, additional intensity or resistance, I really felt it right away in a way that I wasn't expecting to. So I remember I did one of like the first like full like pre-core like circuits. And the first one initially, the first like move was like a standing march with a band, and you're supposed to feel it in your core. And I remember in like another workout class doing that same move, and I always felt it in my hip flexors. I didn't feel it anywhere else, but having that really strong base of knowledge from doing those first few videos in the series a lot until I like really got it down, and then going into that core video was crazy. It was the warm-up. It was the warm-up to that video, but I felt it immediately in my abs. So that was really, really cool to, I think, sort of experience, because I think there's also an emphasis in bringing in this breath and this connection outside of those videos, in the moves of everyday life, getting out of bed, getting off the couch, going upstairs, walking, hiking, whatever it is, to maintain that connection. And that has really allowed me to turn it up a notch, in terms of how I breathe. I use a diaphragmatic breath whenever I'm starting to feel anxious or I really want to tune in to my core at the beginning of a workout. In terms of like other types of workout programs, this one is a little bit more slow and controlled because having that connection is really essential. So even in a little bit more higher intensity like workout videos, you'll be like recommended to take a pause and check in and see if you are still connected to your core, if you're still connected with your pelvic floor. And if you aren't, to slow it down or start again from the beginning and start breathing again and get back into it. Some general tips and things that I found really helpful were, again, really focusing on those cues that work for you. Some of them still to this day, I'm like, no, I don't know how that like visual in my head helps me, where I have like 2 or 3 that just like really, really work. Another tip is to really focus on the biofeedback portion of making this connection. So really utilizing your hands, different positions, those different cues that I was talking about to physically feel that connection being formed. I think something that goes alongside that is wearing workout clothes that are conducive to that. And by that I mean that there are definitely like thicker fibers or much tighter material that makes it harder to comfortably breathe in and out in, which I hadn't really I hadn't thought of before because previously I wasn't breathing diaphragmatically very often, so I didn't really think of a top, like a workout top that like constricted my rib cage as being like that bad. I guess not that it is bad, but that was a top that I couldn't wear while doing these classes, because for me, that biofeedback of my rib cage was really, really important to establishing that connection. And so when I started doing some of these workouts for the Bloom method, I switched what kinds of tops I was wearing. Similarly for like leggings and shorts, I was wearing at times like the Wonder Trains from Lululemon, and those are a little bit like tighter of like fabric, a little bit more stiff. And so I couldn't feel like what was going on when like I touched my perineum. Whereas when I wore like the Lululemon like Aligns, a little bit softer like fabric, it was awesome, it was comfortable, I could feel what was going on, and that biofeedback allowed me to make that connection with my body and do these workouts more effectively. I have like the yearly plan for Bloom Method, and part of that, I forgot, but included their package of like materials to use, like different little resistance bands and sliders and like a squishy sort of like Pilates ball. So in terms of whether you can do it without equipment or with equipment, I think you can do it without equipment, but to get the most benefit using similar equipment to this, the resistance band, the sliders, I got the most out of using that. So that's what I recommend. I have not gotten into the parts of the program that are pregnancy specific. The Bloom Method actually just sort of split up their like pregnancy series by trimester, which I thought was really cool. And I had something like that noted as something that I would like to see. So I'm really glad that between when I was planning this video and when I shot it, that is something that they took to an account. I did the full Trying to Conceive series. I think I'm going to go over that probably a couple more times and explore some of the other like playlists, including the yoga one. I'm really into yoga. I've been practicing yoga for a very, very long time. And so I'm curious to see what the Bloom Method's take on yoga is. For now, that's it for me. Thanks so much for tuning into this video review of the Bloom Method. And if you've given it a try, let me know in the comments how it went, especially if you've done it while you were pregnant or postpartum and you have any tips to offer. Again, I haven't done that part of the program, so if you have, let me know how it went. I hope you enjoyed the video. If there is another sort of item or product around prenatal, pregnancy, postnatal care that you'd like me to review, let me know. I'm super interested in doing more of these reviews and just being open and honest and providing a lot of feedback and a lot of information about what these products are like. Not just they're horrible, they're bad nicks, or they're amazing, but just giving some details into what works and what doesn't. So if you're interested in those types of videos, please let me know.